because we got guest speakers, so I'm always up and open and ready to learn. You know how we do on every Friday, so we're just gonna mute ourselves and we're gonna do our declaration. So engage with me and partake with me so we can get our mindsets right. And so, because we want to make these changes in our lives and we want to make moves, and we know that this program is allowing us to do that. So if everybody is ready, but I see everybody still muted. I want people to be unmuted. Like
we here.
Yeah, like I see people still muted. No, this is a team thing. That's right, Nicole. So I see you. All right. I'm not gonna, I know that's Miss Linda Jones, so I'm not gonna have
Yeah.
The rest of y'all gonna have to unmute and partake with me. All right, y'all ready?
Yes.
All right. This is my life.
This is my life.
I declare today my mindset has changed.
I declare today my mindset has changed.
I am clear about my path.
I am clear about my path.
I am debt free.
I am debt free.
I understand. I walk in the understanding of my finances.
I walk in my finances.
I control my spending habits.
I control my spending habits.
I know this is my favorite part. I am not a consumer.
I am not a consumer.
I am an investor.
I am an investor.
My money works for me.
My money works
for me.
All things are possible to me because I believe.
All things
are possible to me because I believe.
My other favorite part, I am financially sexy.
I am
financially sexy.
And I won't give up.
I won't give up.
Yes, I'm in. It's Friday. I thank you for engaging in that with me. I thank you for saying it like you mean it. I believe that when we say this thing and we really work on our mindsets, because we are not consumers anymore, we are now investors, and our mindsets have changed. So with that being said, Sabor, I'm going to just go ahead and turn that over to you, and then we'll turn it over to our guest speaker tonight, which I'm very excited to hear from.
Thank y'all. There's not a lot of people on right now, but I'm pretty sure people are going to start rolling in. I'm going to do the question and answers at the end to make sure we have more participation, more people on the call, I should say. Just randomly, one of our guest speakers who happened to be here in Virginia, so she's actually at my house downstairs in the other room speaking. So she, and also, I don't know if y'all know this guy or not, but he's one of our debt members. This is Brian. He's always on our call. So Brian actually lives in Virginia, Newport News, and so he came over, and we're having a call with him tonight. So that's good to see him and meet him and his family. He got his wife and his 3 kids downstairs with my family. So
nice.
So he came in with us. So I just want to go over real fast for anybody that's new, and especially our current members, what we teach in this program. We're teaching you velocity banking, how to pay off your debts at accelerated rate. And from there, you're paying off your debts, you updating your credit profiles, and making your credit profiles what we call financially sexy, right? So that way, when you go to lenders and private institutions to get funding, you don't need to look for a hard money lender. You don't need to look for any kind of creative financing, because you already have that in your back pocket or your wallet, right? That way you can buy real estate assets to build your real estate or assets. That way you can continue to build for generational wealth, So that's the whole purpose of this program. And that's the whole purpose of what we teach here. That's what our coaches try to strive to make sure everybody do. So with that, I want to get a round table and see if anybody had any credit updates or any new lines of credit increases or anything like that before we turn it over to our guest speakers. Because I know last week we missed it, but I know like at least 5 people got new lines of credit, and they were huge lines of credit. So, and nobody spoke last week. So anybody want to share before we go over, before I start pointing people out? Michelle? Yeah. So I know Jonas is not on the call tonight. So Jonas got a new line of credit for $7,000. Rodney got a new business line of credit for $25K, and one more person that Renee, one of your clients.
Well, actually, two of my clients, Nicosia and
Yes, I got one for 7,000.
Okay, that's why I about to say. I knew it was Nicosia got 7,000.
Yes, it was me.
And we missed you last week. We missed you. We know
Sorry, I
you're
was
not
doing
here.
something for my business. I couldn't get
No,
on.
no, we understand. Everybody has a life, but we miss you when you're not here. So, and one more person, Renee. Who was the other person?
yeah, so HL and Woody, they got approved for I think a $6,000 credit line too.
Okay, okay. Nice, nice. So everybody in the team is growing. Nicosia, we're very, very proud of you. I just want to say that again. I'm proud of everybody on this call. Nicosia, she's paid off her car. And
No, not her car yet. She's paid everything off except for her car. And that's what we were working on tonight before we actually got on this call. So all of her debt that she's only been in the program for what, 2 months? And she's paid off all of her debt except for her car payment. And that's what we're going to work on now. We're going to teach her how to velocity bank that down.
Okay. Well, we're very, very proud of you for taking the steps and believing in us. And I'm pretty sure your credit score is rock and roll since you joined the program. You're like, holy moly. And you're checking it probably about 4 or 5 times a day, like we all do on this program. So, so we're proud of you. Continue to believe in us. We're going to take you to the next level. But anyways, tonight I have what I call them the king and queen of creative financing and wholesaling. They make good money in what they do, and I just wanted to bring them on because they're good friends of ours, and we try to understand each other's business models, but we never do. but but they definitely believe in us, and I believe in them. So I just wanted to bring them on. So their name is Justin and Nona. Nona's actually here at the house, so I don't care who starts speaking first. I guess it's all unscripted, but I just really wanted to introduce you all to what they do, and I have a couple of questions for them. And if you all have any questions, but let's hear that background first. Justin, Nona, whoever wants to speak first, please.
Thanks. I'm gonna let Justin go first with his background, and then I'll take over.
All right, yeah, so first let me say thank you everybody for having us on. Super excited and pumped to share a little bit of our story and successes with you guys, and hope that more importantly we can provide some sort of insight and value into this financially free or financially sexy, as Antoinette put it, lifestyle, right? So again, my name is Justin Danforth. My wife's on here. Her name is Winona Danforth, and we buy and sell houses a couple of different ways. But a little bit of my background first and foremost is high school dropout. I think I went to 9th grade for about 6 months, and got into a lot of trouble. Long story short, by the time I first turned 21, I went to prison for 14 years and 4 months. So for a second-degree murder charge. And during my incarceration, I made it my sole priority to work on my own personal growth and development. So what I learned sitting inside is when you have nothing else to do but sit with yourself, you discover who you are. And I discovered a lot of not only my problem, but a lot of people's problems. And maybe some of you can relate, is indecisiveness. And I was listening to somebody speak earlier, and they brought up a very good point. People of success, they make decisions quickly, and they're slow to change their mind, right? So people typically who are broke or poor, they can't make up their mind, and they take a long time to try to figure out, is this a good investment? Should I do this? They gotta analyze everything. But people of success make decisions very quickly, and are slow to change their mind. And that doesn't go to say we do things without any kind of forethought or ignorantly or blindly. No, it's just that we have made a decision about ourselves, who we are. And when we know who we are and what we stand for, it's easy for us to make decisions. and I'll give you a good example. If you are completely against alcohol, right? You don't drink alcohol, you don't partake in it, you don't indulge, you don't encourage it. And somebody comes up to you and says, hey, let's go out and have a drink. I know a good club, we can get some alcohol. You don't have to be indecisive. You already know it goes against what you stand for. You're quick to make a decision. And so I said that to say, when Nona and I started this business, this real estate investing journey, I made a decision. And back then it was a $5,000 decision. It didn't take me but a split second to spend the money, because I knew who I am, what I stand for, and what I was going to do moving forward. Now, the hard part was getting my wife to come aboard with me. So, and I'm so sure she'll share a little bit about that with you guys. And since then, you know, we've slowly been able to excel and accelerate at a nice pace. And we will show you some checks here in a minute that we just deposited last week, and not for bragging, but as an inspiration, encouragement, and to really put out there that, again, she'll tell you a little bit of her background, but I came from nowhere. It's the typical grew up poor. I don't got to go into all the detail. Most of you, if you didn't grow up poor, you know somebody who did, or you've seen enough in the news and on the television know what poor is. And we were the definition of poor in my household growing up. So nevertheless, I say that to say, keep moving forward, make decisions based on what you stand for and where your values and core foundation is grounded at, and you won't go wrong. I really believe that. So I'll pass the mic over to Nona, and if you guys have any questions, let me know.
Well, guys, I am Nona Danforth, Winona, and a little bit about my background. I was always advanced, but I was introverted. So I was the person that always went to summer school every year to get extra credits. I was that person. Graduated from high school, put myself through college, came out with a degree in business law and management, and did not use that degree for what it was for. Instead, I went into the medical field. And I don't know if you guys know anything about Joy, but we basically had this, the same careers when I was working. So I became a medical administrator and spent years making hospitals and doctors' offices rich. I worked at a hospital, CHKD, it's a children's hospital. And that's where I kind of got burnout. And this was probably about 10 years ago. And it was the first time I said, do I even still want to be a medical administrator? I had my first real estate deal, guys, at 19. And I lived in Virginia and the deal was in Florida. So it was unconventional. I'm not trying to say my age, but all of those years ago to even do virtual deals. It ended up being a probate deal. Probate is where somebody has died and now the heirs need to figure out if they're going to A, sign their rights away, B, get a check, and it has to go through the courts. There were 6 children. So this took quite a bit of time. And I ended up getting bit by the bug because it took 9 months, but I got to work hands on hands with an attorney in Florida and plus the 6 children. And at the end of the day, at 19, I got what I felt was this fat check. And I can laugh now at it, but it bit me. And I continued to do deals on the side. Fast forward, I met Justin and he was a contractor. So he came to me after we were married and says, hey, I want you to quit your job. And I was like, what for? He was like, you already make your own schedule. You're only there about 2 days a week. I need you to be home so that you can focus on my business that I want to create. And he was like, well, our business. And he came to me. Real estate was not the first business he came to me with, guys. He came to me with a couple of different things, and I was like, not that they were illegal, but I was like, I don't know about that. So he then said, all right, he hit me, like a month later and said, I got it. I know what I want to do. I want to sit behind a desk. I no longer want to be a contractor. I don't want to be out in the field. I don't, I want to be able to put on a suit, and I want to sit behind a desk, and I want to do X, Y, and Z. And in order to do that, I need to be a real estate investor. So I said, oh, okay, well, I've done real estate deals on the side. He was like, yeah, I want you to quit your job. I said, no. Then he shows me a mentor. And don't get me wrong, this mentor was great. And I said, well, how much is that mentor going to cost? And he goes, oh, don't worry about it. I got a really good deal. And Justin and I, we're modern with our money. We keep our money separate. So it's not like I knew what a good deal was. He's telling me we got a good deal, and he's going to take me on a vacation, and we're going to go talk to this mentor, and we're going to go sit down with a whole group of people. On day 2, and we're in a room full of, I don't know, maybe 500 people. And we're sitting in the middle of the room. On day 2, the mentor gets up on stage and he says, some of you guys are going to leave here divorced at the end of this week. And he goes, let me tell you why. He said, I know that half of the men in this room that brought their significant others lied about what they paid for this. And he throws up on the board how much it cost. And I was the only one in the room that looked at my husband, got my books, stood up, and walked out. I walked out, guys. And the mentor says, there goes one right now. Whose wife is this? Because I know you're going to be divorced. I'm talking about in front of this huge room. It does not take a lot to embarrass me at all. I was embarrassed. I was mortified. I was like, oh my gosh, trying to walk. And I had to go, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me, as I was walking by everybody's seat. Fast forward 2 weeks, and we had our first deal, and I was eating all of my words with my husband. I'm talking about 2 weeks. That's all it took, 2 weeks. And we were having our first deal together as our business. And from there, we've just grown and grown. And, Al has known us, of course, before we started the business together. So he has seen the growth, and we've been incredibly fortunate. And, we do praise God for that. But without our dedication and, of course, our education, which I know you guys understand because you guys are learning how to be financially sexy. So without the education, this wouldn't have been possible. And of course, the dedication and the motivation. So I'm going to see if Justin can get granted permission to show the picture of our most recent deal so that I can talk to you guys a little bit about it.
All yours, Justin.
Okay, guys. So this is a picture of a check that, well, I guess a couple checks that we just put in the bank last week. We just picked this check up last week. And there are 3 checks. The biggest one is for $143,000. There we go. Thanks, Justin. If you can there we go. 143, 212, 96, right? So that was our nice big fat check. And a little bit of background about this fat check. Justin and I are both highly competitive. We're competitive with each other. We're competitive with ourselves. This check, even though I look happy and excited, and I was still kicking myself in the butt because personally, it did not beat our check from the year previous. And when I say our check, we get multiple checks, whether they're small, whether they're high, at least we're bringing money in. But we have a goal, and that is to beat our largest check to date. Our largest check to date was for $193,000, and that was in 2020. Okay, so these small checks that you see, one is for, I think, 1,690, and the other one is for 235. Those all came from the same deal. We sold a house that we rehabbed and got the 143, and the checks above were from us allowing the buyer to move into the house before close. So take early possession. And we charged a rent. We charged higher than what the normal rate is because we are in a hot market. So we were able to get more money than if you were in a low market. Generally speaking, it's about $25 a night if you're allowing them to rent the house, if you're allowing them to take early possession. We were closer to, well, I know it was $67 a night in order to get those figures. It was like 67, 68. So about these checks, we don't, like Justin said, we don't show these to brag. These are not bragging rights, but these checks make us very comfortable. I want to talk about checks like this. You guys heard us say that we rehabbed a house and flipped it. That is active money. It's not passive, which you guys are learning about money, right? So for generational wealth, you need that passive income. You have to have it. You will not reach generational wealth unless, you know, you're somebody lucky and you strike whatever the Powerball or Mega Ball is when it's like at 233 million. You have to have passive in order to get to that generational wealth. These checks that you see, or whenever you see us holding a check up, that is our icing on the cake. That is our play money. That is not our passive money. Our passive money comes from owning homes that we put, whether we have as short-term rentals or we put what's called a tenant buyer in. So we constantly have that passive money. We do about 4 of those big checks a year, and that's our play money. We call it play money. So with this business, we have been able to get to a level very quickly of freedom. Now, more money, more what? Can anybody answer that one? More
Problem.
Okay.
That's notorious big.
Okay. All right. So I don't want you to think that just because you have all this money, you don't need a program like what you guys are in. Okay. I need that to be known, right? You still need to be financially savvy, financially smart. When I met Justin, I came to the table debt-free, and Justin will tell you this. And Justin and I got married very quickly, guys, on day 3, believe it or not. And so on like day 4, I found out that Justin came with debt and I was already married. And we keep our money separate, but I didn't get a prenup. And I was like, hold on, wait a minute. I have worked my butt off. Look, they're over there laughing. I worked my butt off to get to where I'm at financially free. And you know what I mean? And debt free. And here goes Justin. Justin is the man of the hour. Justin is a, where do I sign? Oh, he's like, oh, it's interest free for 6 months. And then it only goes to 21%. Oh yeah, I'll do it. Oh, you're gonna give me a gift? What am I gonna get? Oh yeah, I'll do it. But what I will tell you is Al came along and has some words with Justin about velocity banking. And Justin has cleaned up his act, thankfully. So round of applause for that. So yes, thank you guys. So we get these deals a lot of times with creative finance, and we love creative finance. Creative finance means I am not using my business credit. I am not using my personal credit. Okay. I am going to use somebody else's credit for this creative deal. There are multiple ways to do creative deals. The way that we like the best is with what you guys would know as a term of seller finance. What we call it is subject to if there is still a mortgage attached to the house.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We love these subject to deals. That 143 that you saw,
Yes.
the seller let us have over $100,000 in equity and knew that he was giving us over $100,000 in equity.
Was happy to give it to us.
He was like this, take it. He literally was like, please, when can you come to my house? He said, I know I have $130,000 in equity. He goes, there's a catch. I have a lien. And this property had a lien. He goes, I have a lien. It's about $3,000 and it's with the HOA. Will you still be able to buy it? What do you want for it? Right? I didn't tell him what I was going to offer. So what do you want for it? He says, I don't want anything. I just want you to pay off my mortgage. I said, okay. All right. We can probably do that. Get me some information. Let me see your mortgage statements. Let me make sure you're up to date. Let me see if you owe anything back. You're telling me you have one lien. Do you have any more liens? Usually if there's one lien, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. He says, nope, it's just the HOA. Guess what, guys? He had an HOA and a POA. So now we're up to 2 liens. Then I get the title pulled and we're going to add 5 more liens to that. So when we first took this house, what we were going to do was we were not going to do a creative finance deal. We were just going to quickly take it from him and do like a wholesale deal where you just kind of flip it. And we weren't going to put any money into it. We were just going to flip it. And if we would have done that, we would have walked away with about 50,000. So I'm letting you know the difference in the checks, right? 50 or 143. Now, we had done the numbers and we knew we could make all of this money. But at the time, our contractor was tied up with another job and we didn't want to hold. We don't like to sit and waste money, right? You don't like to see your money go out and not get a return on it. So we went ahead and we rehabbed the house and sold it and ended up with more than that. I need you guys to understand that we have money sitting in escrow with the attorney's office for one of the liens that shouldn't be there. We had our attorney take it out of the check and hold it. It's $10K, it's $10,000. So that check would have been 153. They're holding it and they're going back to whoever put the lien on, because I don't even know, because I didn't even want to see it, because we weren't told any of this information until we got to the closing table, and all Justin could do was do this. So with that being said, always know when you're talking to a seller, sellers lie. Sometimes they don't mean it. This one meant it. He knew what he was doing. But sellers do lie. So you always have to do your due diligence and you have to stand fast on what you're going to accept. Remember, I told you guys that we were going to take this as a wholesale deal. When I found out that there were 5 more liens on this property, we could still make it work. We could no longer wholesale it unless we wanted to walk away with about 25, right? Because we would have had to have paid off the liens, or we would have tried to push it off with the liens and somebody still would have said, hey, we're not eating all those liens. So the only way to really work it was to rehab it, which we were fine with. But you have to know your exit strategies in this business and you have to always have a backup plan. So I went back to the seller and I said, hey, I know we said we'd give you cash and we close out in 30 days, but you have $20,000 worth of liens right now. And that's what we know about and what we can see on the title that are already attached. A lien could get placed before we go to close. So I want to make sure that we do this the right way. And the only way to do this is if I take it subject to, and of course I explained what subject to was to him. And he said, okay, and you're going to pay my liens? And I said, yep, we'll pay your liens off because now we're going to hold up and we're not going to pay anything off for you for a couple of months. And he said, okay, I'm fine with it. And so we just changed the paperwork out, got it to the attorney, and we closed like that. Because subject to, you can literally close, you know, the title was pulled, so we could close the very next day. And we went about rehabbing it and then putting it back on the market. Rosie, it looks like Rosie's saying something. Are you talking to me or? Okay, honey. All right. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Well,
Yeah,
no.
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
Renee.
no, you go first.
No, I'm pretty sure you're the wholesale queen, so I'm pretty sure you got
Oh, no, I'm not the
your
wholesale
your,
queen. I'm
your,
actually
your
trying
question.
to learn.
Your
Um,
question is going to answer my.
I don't know about that, but go first.
So, what's the difference between that you find with your creative financing? Because I know you and Justin do a lot of different type of creative financing, right? Which form of creative financing have you seen brought you the most money? Wholesaling, subject to seller finance, still lease options. Like what have you seen has been the best option for you to create your wealth?
So it's relative to the property and the exit strategy. So if you're taking the property over by owner financing or seller financing, and you're taking the property over subject to, it's going to be relative to the exit strategy. So how nice the property is. If I don't have to do any work to it, or I just got to do, splash some paint and put some carpet in there, and I can put a tenant buyer in there. If I get it seller financing, if I take it over seller financing, I'm gonna do the same thing typically as I'm gonna do if I take it over subject to, depending on how much work needs to be done to the property, and depending on if I'm just gonna, like we did with this property, she just explained about, if we're just gonna fix it completely up and put it on the market for retail. So as far as which strategy do we see the most financial benefit from, for us, it's no one more than the other. It's just relative to what are you going to do with it, regardless of which strategy you use.
All right, and I'm going to come in and give a slightly different answer. This is why we work very well together. To answer your question, when you say seller financing, and if you have a savvy seller, that seller is going to become the bank, and they are going to amortize, and they are going to charge you interest. Okay. So I'm breaking this down to you guys, for you guys. If you're doing seller finance and they approached you, the seller is approaching you, hey, no, I'd rather do seller finance or a rent to own. They usually say that because they understand that they can amortize that payment. And instead of paying $89,000 for a house, you're going to end up paying $350,000 on that house. Now with subject to, and with our lease options, and the way our business is set up and the way that we teach it, you come in, you're not doing the seller financing. You will do seller financing if it's a free and clear property, if that's how you're going to set it up. But we do 0 interest. I'm sorry. You need me. I don't need you. We don't have to sell ourselves to the sellers either. If it fits, it fits. Meaning if it's gonna fit our business model. If it does not, we let them know, I'm sorry, this is not gonna work for us. I can recommend a realtor. I can recommend another colleague that might take this property. But if we can't come to terms and we can't be on the same page, we don't need to move forward. And we have walked away from more houses than you can imagine. And usually when you get to that point, you have sellers now trying to throw houses at you. So the one that has made us the most money, if we want to look at it that way, it's going to be our subject to deals. Okay. We're able to get our subject to deals, and I'm going to explain it. So we're able to get our subject to deals. When you get a subject to deal, you do need money. You're going to need money to cover all of the closing costs. You've got to go to a closing table. Okay. You're going to closing table because you are taking the deed in your name out of the seller's name. The only thing the seller is holding is that mortgage note. That's it. They're keeping the mortgage note in their name. But now you own the property. Seller comes off, and it is a completely legal transaction. Okay. You're going to need money to close. So you're going to, if you're not, once you learn all your forms and it's just you doing your forms, then you're just gonna need your attorney money. If you have a good attorney will give you a discount because they understand that you're gonna continually use them. We have a wonderful attorney for this property in the Virginia area. If you guys are ever in the Virginia area doing work, we have a wonderful attorney, looks out for all of our students as well too. And then of course cuts deals because he understands that you're gonna use him repeatedly and makes things happen for us.
So I have a question for you guys. So when you do your subject to deals, how long do you typically hold them for? Right. So I understand subject to because I'm kind of doing one, right? So you
Okay.
take your down payment, and then how long do you do your intern before you finish on the back end?
Okay, so that's gonna depend on your exit strategy, which is what Justin was saying.
Mhm.
So we have subject to deals that we've taken that we've made short-term rentals, and the terms that we have with the seller, 25 years, 20 years. And we might have a 20-year term on a property where there's only $100,000 left in the mortgage. So it'll be paid off in like 7 years.
Mhm.
We just ask for those terms just in case. What if we want to go back to the table and we want to refi, but we don't want to refi in our business? We're not ready to do that. We go to the seller and we say, hey, we'll have you refi and take some money out. And we'll tell the seller, we need you to refi in your name. We'll still pay off the refi, right? But we'll give you 2,000 and it's or a percentage, right, of the refi. And yeah, so it just really depends on what your exit strategy is. Now, if we put a tenant buyer in the property, we have a very strict rule of 2 years. Our tenant buyers have 2 years. So we get a tenant buyer, we put them in a program like this, or so that they have that debt weapon and they are paying off. You okay back there?
Yeah, girl, one of my little things fell off. It startled me, but it's okay.
I know.
I was like, oh.
And they have to go through a program. They have to. So our tenant buyers have to go, they have to be financially literate. They have to be. We are working with people who have credit scores of 480 usually. It's usually around a 480, right? That's what we're looking at. We will take a 450 depending on what's on the credit because I'm still looking at that credit, right? We automatically put them in in a debt program plus with a mortgage officer. That mortgage officer actually works as the babysitter because remember, a mortgage officer, they want something different than what I want. And they want to make sure that they're getting this person to the closing table in the 2 years. So they will babysit for us and they will email us and say, hey, your tenant at such and such didn't check in about their debt program. I haven't seen their report card. You know what I mean? Like I haven't seen their report card and I just ran their credit again and it looks like they did X, Y, and Z. So they'll get told them. And that's 2 years. We will extend on a month-to-month lease for 6 months after that if they're paying on time and they're doing what they need to do and they just need more time. Now, with that being said, we've had tenant buyers that have given us the keys back, given the property back in better condition than what they got it in, and forfeited their option fee, which are big amounts in the beginning. They're like 15K, 20K, right? There are people out there, guys, and I need everybody to understand this on the call. There are people out there that have credit scores of 450, walking around with 20, 30, 40, 50, 60K stashed in shoe boxes, and they still have legit jobs, right? They just don't either A, trust banks, B, know what to do with money because they're not financially literate. They don't even know how to invest. And now their credit's trashed. They don't know how to fix their credit. They don't even know what's on credit. They don't even know what the major credit reporting agencies are, but they have money and they need a place and they can't qualify for a traditional rental at all because of their credit.
Wow.
So my next thing is, I know that not only do you have short-term rentals, you and Justin also do Airbnbs too, right? You have several Airbnb properties. How's that work? Are those subject to properties that you put on Airbnbs or?
They sure are.
Can
They
you,
sure are.
can you explain that? Because most people know either, you wholesale the property, or put a short-term renter in it. But nobody ever thinks of taking that property, making it Airbnb. So y'all took a niche, and that's something that's common is going on now, and made it a new thing. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. As far as Airbnb, I used to stay in Airbnbs, you know what I mean, before like they were even a thing, before they got big. And with that being said, when we took on some properties, Justin and I, as a matter of fact, Justin was like, hey man, something in the water's coming. How can we make money off of something in the water? All these hotels are making all this money. And he came to me, he said, all the hotels are sold out. And I said, all right, Airbnb this. You got to get it ready. And he's like, all right. And by ready, right, it's no different than, it has to be staged. You know what I mean? You still want to make your top dollar. So we made a killing, guys, for something in the water. And that's when we said, oh, we might want to do this with some of our units, right? If it's going to make us more money passively than it does with a regular tenant buyer. So when we looked at it, we know that we need to be booked about 75% of the month. You have to have 75% of your month booked in order to make the money that you need to make to keep the game going with a short-term rental. All right. And when I say short-term rental for that 75% booking, I am talking about an Airbnb or a VRBO, something that families usually vacation or business people usually vacation. There are short-term rentals such as corporate. So you have corporate 3-month rentals or traveling nurses. Those you can still make a nice passive chunk of change with too. All right. And when I say this, you're looking at your net to be about 2,000, right? Depending on where you're at and how big your place is. And that's a month. So if you're only making 500 to 1,000 from a tenant buyer net a month, and now you go into short term and you're making 2 to 3K, you just maximize that. There are other ways as well too. When you take on these houses and with your exit strategies, one of my favorites are sober living environments. Okay, because now you're charging the heads and the beds, and you can usually house 2 people per room. Insurance does not cover these houses, so family members usually cover them, and you get the information because they've already been through a program. They come to you sober from 3 or 6 month program. You're looking at a pop about $800 a head. So if you have a 3-bedroom, okay, you can do the math on that, guys. All right. And that's one of my big ones that I like, but is student housing. So student housing is a lot of the same as far as the sober living environments. The reasons why I like sober living environments is because they're sober living environments. They are on month-to-month leases, and they sign a form saying that you can drug test them at any time. You can go in there, wake them up, and you have a house manager that does that. And it's cut and dry, it's super easy. So instead of with a student, right? If you're doing student housing, you're gonna have the parent co-sign as a backup, but 9 times out of 10, your student housing is more trashed. Let's remember who we're dealing with, right? Is more trashed than a sober living environment.
So, Nona, if I can call you Nona, when you say that the insurance doesn't cover the sober living environment, but the family usually pays that. Can you, I mean, it's probably self-explanatory, but can you just break that down a little bit more? So in other words, like when you have a home, let's just say you have a multifamily and you got or you have a single family house with 4 bedrooms in it, I don't know, right? And you have two bodies to a room. So when you are, so obviously the house is already paid for, Like there's no mortgage on the house or anything?
No. Let's say you took it, let's just say you took it subject to, and let's say your payment is $1,000 a month, right?
Okay.
Because you're making the mortgage payment. You're making the first seller's mortgage payment. Let's say that's 1,000.
Yeah.
That's $1,000 a month. Now you're gonna need your electric, your water. If there's gas, you're gonna need all of the utilities, okay? So let's just bring that up. And Wi-Fi, that's if you put Wi-Fi in there, okay? It's a sober living environment. So a lot of places don't have certain things. Some will have Wi-Fi, some will not. It depends on what type of house you want to run and your business model. So Wi-Fi. So let's just bring it up to $1,800 a month. Let's just make it easy. Say $1,800 a month.
Per person?
No, that's your outgo. Your outgo's $1,800.
Okay.
That includes your mortgage payment and then all of your utilities. All right. Now you have a 4-bedroom house. One of those bedrooms, and this really depends on how you want to run your house. One of those bedrooms is your house manager. Okay. They can pay you a small rent to live there if you're going to allow them to work outside of the house, right? But they get a discount because they're on call and they deal with any drama, and they field it before it comes to you or whoever you have above them. They also will drug test at any time, right? If they feel like something's wrong. So now you only have 3 bedrooms now, right? That's making real money. So let's say it is $800 a head, or even 1,000. You can say it's $1,000 a head. So you now subtract the 1,800, but you still see how much money you're making a month, right? It's the golden. It's like foolproof with this money that's coming in. Now, the families, believe it or not, you'll end up getting referrals from the actual rehab facilities. These rehab facilities that are sending you referrals generally are the private ones. They are not state ones. State ones mean they might have had a scholarship to go there. You know what I mean? It might be discounted. These are private facilities. We are talking about $10,000 a month minimum to be there. The same families that paid for that rehab, or the person that went into rehab, people think that users and abusers are broke. Usually they're high class. The ones that are in facilities like this, they'll then go, okay, I want to be in a sober living environment, and they'll go put themselves in one. And some will say, I'll be the 2 people in the one room. So they'll cover it. So families will cover it, or the actual person themselves going. Once they're in the house, they sign a contract. And this depends on your business. They have X amount of time to get a job. The house manager goes over the rules. Here's where you can get your bus pass if they have no license, right? These are the steps we need you to take while you're here. And it's outlined, just like this program is outlined, so that you can do, you know what I mean? You can win. It's a win-win. The only way they fail is if they don't put the work in, or they revert back to any of their old ways.
Right. So we're talking about, like, as far as medical insurance is just not paying. So
Correct.
Right. So with a sober house environment, do you find that your home insurance, is it higher because it's more of a business opposed to residential, or is it about the same thing for as far as
if you had an assisted living, you'd be what you're talking about. It's not assisted living. You're still renting to a tenant on a month-to-month basis.
All right, that's what okay.
So can you do assisted livings with subject twos or with lease options? Yes, you can.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody needs to be on board, including that seller, just because the seller is covered as an additionally insured when you look at it from an insurance aspect, and you never want that seller to go, I never agreed to this. You know what I mean? If there was a claim to happen. And remember, guys, I'm not an attorney.
Okay. Interesting. So what do you guys charge for your program?
Our program, we have 3 different levels of our program. So we don't go over them like in a group setting, but we do go over them one-on-one, because you might need something that is totally different from somebody else. We have a done for you program, we have group coaching, and then we have one-on-one coaching. And we assess your needs and we let you know, hey, you know, I know you're interested in the one-on-one coaching, but you might not need to be at that level because you already know, so much. So it really depends. It's on a case-by-case basis or business team by business team. Any other questions, guys?
So how
I
many
have a
houses do you
question.
do a month? Oh, I'm so
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
Go ahead, Danielle.
Oh no, I just had a question. How do you determine which properties you will do what with? Like, how do you determine I'll do Airbnb with this property, sober living with this property? How do you determine that?
That's a very good question. So if you're interested in the sober living model, you're going to want to check in the area that you're at, and you're going to want to see if there's a private rehab facility within about an hour. Okay. Because you can pull from that. Another good way to look at it is a lot of major cities, usually an hour outside of the major city, is going to have a rehab. It'll be a private rehab. So you can just Google whatever state you're looking at and go private rehabs, and they'll all pop up. You want to make sure that they're all private though, because sometimes the state rehabs will get listed in there. Now, with that being said, short-term rental is different as well too, because anywhere where you have hotels, usually short-term rentals do great, but believe it or not, they also do great where there aren't any hotels. So like in the boonies, if you're the only house that's renting and people still visit that area, then you're going to make a lot of money. You have to check though with the city or the counties to make sure that Airbnb or short-term rentals are legal. Sometimes they might tell you no, but there might be a clause that says they are legal if it's a 2-week rental, or if it's a 3-week rental, or if it's a month rental. So a lot of places in Florida, there are some HOAs in Florida now that have gone to a 30-day rental.
Yeah, I had a couple of friends that had properties they took over subject to in HOA areas, and they were doing Airbnbs, and they were illegal. But it's just like the HOA really don't mess with you as long as the people are not making a lot of noise and being a nuisance to the community. Yeah, so and a lot of times, as long as the original homeowner is nice and the HOA don't care as long as they're getting paid, really. You just got to be mindful of where the type of things you want to do in those different communities.
And I mean, I will be completely honest with you. Justin will tell you in a heartbeat. I looked at Justin. We had an Airbnb in a city that did not allow Airbnbs. And we were talking about the city didn't allow it. There was no HOA. I looked at Justin and I said, we'll make a killing. And he was like, okay, I'm okay with taking that risk. I'll tell you why. The first time it's going to be a warning from the city. Okay, I'm going to keep doing it. The second time it's going to be a fine. I'm still going to keep doing it until they give me court papers and let me explain why. The fine is usually about $100. If I am making $2,000 to $3,000 net a month, go ahead and fine me. I'll take it. I'll take the fine. I'll stop when you take me to court for, you know what I mean? But I'm still going to do my Airbnb up until that court date. Has this happened, guys? It has not happened to me, but that was the game plan going forward with Justin. We ran the Airbnb completely smooth, completely fine. City never said anything. And the city does find out because these places have to report that you're making money. They never said anything. And again, we didn't have any complaints either. None of our neighbors complained. You know what I mean? There were no police officer phone calls, nothing like that. So you can kind of, fly under the radar.
So when you do your Airbnb, do you how do you pick who's going to, I mean, most people just book. So do you have a process for who do you loan out to? Or is it just, hey, sign up and that's it?
Nope. So I will be completely honest. There are people out there that will do one-night rentals. One-night rentals works against you because first of all, you have a cleaning fee and then you have to turn it over quickly in order to make your money. And remember, I said you need to be 75% booked. So always do at least 2-night rentals. And depending on where you're at, you're going to want to do 3-night rentals, right? That means they have to secure it. So if it's a weekend and they want Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? Or they just wanted Friday and Saturday, they got Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You just made a whole extra day. People will rent. They will still rent if you are in a good area.
What's your cleaning fee has increased to due to COVID, or did it decrease? Like, or what's the? I know, I'm pretty sure your cleaners have to spend a couple more hours in the Airbnbs.
So our cleaning protocol, because Justin and I are, I'll be completely honest, Justin and I are really weird, like clean freaks. So our cleaning protocol was already above the COVID cleaning protocol when COVID came. Okay, so we're like those people were like, are my baseboards clean? Are the handles clean? You know what I mean? I'm not even gonna lie. Our youngest just came to stay, and Justin will tell you in a heartbeat. After our youngest, she's 20, she came to stay. I was sanitizing everything because I know she still hangs out with everybody. And I was like, nope, I'm that person. So with that being said, our cleaning protocols are up there. We always want to make sure, depending on where your Airbnb is at, that your cleaning fee to whoever you're hiring is basically the median or above the median what everybody's paying. So for example, it might be $25 an hour. It might be $40 an hour in Cali, right? It might be 25 in Virginia. So you have to be very mindful of what the hourly cleaning rate is. And you can do that easily by looking at other comparable properties and seeing what their cleaning fee is and doing an average to get that. Any other questions?
I'm gonna leave you alone because you're downstairs. I can get you all night. Both. And Brian here, y'all. He's one of the team members here. He said both of us. He's like, we're not going home tonight. Yeah, he already told us he's not going home tonight.
Well, guys, I will wrap up and I'll tell you, creative financing really changed our lives. I want to talk a bit real quick. Wholesaling is the foundation. You have to have a foundation. Wholesaling is the foundation. Wholesaling is active income. It is not passive, right? Creative financing allowed us to, neither one of us, all we do is work our business. That's it. And I would love to say that we work more than what we do, but if I'm being honest, I don't know. I probably work 10 hours a week. Justin, what would you, how much would you say you work? Honestly, be honest.
Not much. Honestly, I don't count my hours. Like working on the business, actual time on the business, as opposed to sitting in this chair and getting a whole bunch of nothing done. Probably 6 to 8 hours a week, honestly. So.
And just to explain stuff to you, Justin used to get up and be out of the house at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I wouldn't see him again until 11 o'clock at night, most times when he was a contractor. So he went from, oh, and that might be 6 days a week, maybe 7, depending on the jobs.
So this is the main reason I really wanted you guys on the phone call tonight, because people don't understand. Justin, let me go back. Justin really did 14 years, right, in prison. He came out of prison as a contractor, said, you know what, I'm tired of it. Started his own business with him and his wife, and they went from the mud to millionaires by working their own business. You got to understand the power in this right here. This like, I'm amazed and that also at the same time inspired by what they're doing, you know, and not only that, they also teaching and coaching other people how to work this business, you know, from their own, and they still have their own mentors, business mentors and coaches. They like, they go to conferences, they'll be like, hey, book this conference, we're going to this conference. I'm like, wait, what, hold on, you know, like, see, let me get my feet together, you know. But they do that because they not only, they still inspire and teach other people, but they're still coachable, you know, and that's very important, to still be coachable and learn and continuously learn new methods and learn new information. So, but I'm going to shut up on that. Y'all want to have anything to close out with, Justin and Nona?
Oh, I just wanted to say too, like Justin, you said something very important at the beginning of giving your background about what we teach in this program. And that was really about your mindset and the decision and actually pulling the trigger to making things happen, right? That's one of the things that we do emphasize here is, you know, don't be afraid. You know, change is not always easy, and change is nerve-wracking when you're so used to doing the same thing. But the mindset that when you came out and talked about that, you know, not to just say, but I work in a correctional facility, so I deal with a lot of people where their mindsets are just not where they where you want them to be or where you would like them to be, and it's kind of work to try to talk to them about changing their mindset. So I really just thought that, and I just wanted to give you kudos too for the success that you've made for coming out and making the changes that you made in your life. And I think that's really, really honorable. But I just really wanted to emphasize that about that mindset when you said, you know, I made a decision.
Mhm.
And it starts with that, to make the decision.
Yeah, thank you. All praises due to God. I've been home 5 years, so to give you a little bit of a timeline. So I've been home 5 years, and this is, you know, how fast we've been able to grow. And again, it's not to brag, but to inspire all of you and anybody else that comes in our path. And like Sabor said, we still have coaches, because at every level you're always learning and you're always trying to grow. You should always be trying to grow, right? Your today shouldn't be the same as it was yesterday. Each day should be better and better. With that being said, I just want to encourage everybody to continue moving forward with what you're going, you know, with the path that you're going on, especially with like this program that you guys are in. It's a great program. And anything else that's conducive to your growth and your personal development. Mindset is the number one like thing you have to have before anything else will follow. So
Yes. And I'm gonna go ahead and close out and say,
Hello, excuse me, 2 seconds. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
sure.
I'm sorry to interrupt you guys. I know you're about to close out, but I'm just gonna stop you from closing real quick. So I know you've just gone over all of that information, but we have folks that are on who have never done anything wholesale at all. And there was just a few terms that was thrown out, and I just was hoping you guys could explain a little bit. What is exactly a subject to? And then you talked about option fees and things like that as you were going on. So I just wanted to make sure that folks didn't walk away without understanding what that exactly is. So
Sure.
sorry, I have to take you back.
It's okay. So again, one of our favorite ways to acquire deals is called subject to. Subject to means you are taking the deal subject to the seller's debt that is tied to the house. Okay. Now I want to be very clear with this. It generally means mortgage. But if you are not familiar with your contracts and you are filling out your contracts yourself and you bring them to an attorney, it may mean anything tied to the house, meaning any liens as well too. Our contracts are very cut and dry. They're very black and white. Again, we have good attorneys. So ours means the mortgage only. And our attorneys then will come back and say, hey, we found some liens. That's if there are liens. We generally don't deal with anybody with liens. And then they will say, we'll do a separate contract for these liens. And they'll still place it in the binder. An option fee, guys, we like to call what would be traditionally called, if we were traditionally buying a house and we used a lender and the lender said, hey, you need a down payment of 20%. When we place our tenant buyers, we call it an option fee. A fee means non-refundable. Whenever you see the word fee, that means you do not get your money back for the most part, as far as legalities go. Again, I am not an attorney, but an option fee works much like a traditional deposit, but it comes with terms. Okay, the terms of the option fee are, let's say they put $20,000 down on the front end. That means they're going to give us an option fee of $20,000 before they get the keys to this house. It's $20,000 for the option fee. The terms are, this option fee will be applied to the sales price of $250,000 as long as you purchase this property within 24 months. Purchase must be between the 18th and the 24th month, cannot be any time before. And the reason why we do that is because we want that passive income. Okay, now we don't even have to use a mortgage bank, and we could put a tenant buyer in there for 30 years and amortize it, right? We're still going to take an option fee. It's still going to be called an option fee. And they're still going to have rules that come with that option fee, because it changes up when you do a 30-year term and you become the bank. You become much like a mortgage company. So that's option fee. And then I think everybody on the call, they know what wholesaling is. It's where you take the property and you get it under contract, and then you turn around and you mark this contract up to include your fee, and then you sell it to an end buyer. And that's wholesaling.
Yeah,
Where
wholesaling.
would you suggest if there was someone who wanted to get into wholesaling, what would be your suggestion for how they could get started or should get started?
To reach out to Nolan and Justin.
And as far as wholesaling goes, we teach wholesaling, but again, wholesaling is active income. We want to teach generational wealth. We want our students to surpass us. We want them to say sayonara. And we're very big on, with our students, we like our students to have their first passive income deal under their belt in the first 30 days of working with us. So wholesaling, if we have someone that only wants to do wholesaling, we're not the fit for them. And we would suggest somebody that only does wholesaling. And to be honest with you, it would be the school of YouTube if you don't have any money, or podcasts, right? Or pay, such and such $250 for their flyer on how to do wholesaling. But wholesaling is very big and out there. And we always like to educate on why wholesaling is not an end all and be all. And it is because you are working for, all you've done is created a job where you're working for a paycheck. You are actively having to work. You will always have to chase that money. It's no different than us talking to real estate agents. Real estate agents think, oh, it was a hot market, I made all this commission. What happened to you before the market got hot? Because I know you were getting a second and third job because you weren't cutting it. You are always going to have to work for that paycheck.
It's the same thing I get with mortgage note brokering. A lot of people come to me, want to learn how to broker notes, but they don't realize all you're doing is creating a new job. It's not a business. You're creating a job for yourself. You have to market. It's 100% marketing, and then you see your returns. But there are times where you don't see any money because you have to always market until you build your relationships that your business could sustain itself. But yeah, it's the same thing with wholesaling and mortgage note brokering.
Yeah,
Yes.
wholesaling is a lot of work, especially if you don't have systems in place to actually help you with your wholesaling. Like if you're doing this like archaically and you don't have the systems to do it, or you're not connected with people to do the wholesaling, it is a lot of work. I mean, from finding properties, driving for dollars, to skip tracing and making phone calls. It's like literally a job, and then you don't see your profit in the effort that you put in. And sometimes it's not really worth it, right? Because I did a couple of wholesale deals and I was like, okay, I'm cured from this real fast. But it is work. It is a lot of work. And the profits that I've made what, $5,000, $10,000 on a deal. But it took me it's the work that I had to put in. And then, then you get deal, you do the work, you get to the table, and then the deal doesn't go through.
Sorry, I didn't mean to hit that button. I was trying to hit the chat. Ed was asking the question. I'm sorry, Renee. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying when you get to the table and the deal falls through, and then you can't really recap that deal. So you really put in all this effort, all this time, and then when you get to the table and you don't close the deal, and you really have to be careful because you can get undercut on the deal, and depending on who you working with and who you're dealing with. So I've learned a few things in wholesaling, and it's a lot of work.
Ed got a question. Said, do you coach people in California and other states?
Yes, we coach people even out of the country. So we coach investors located anywhere. And I just want to touch base real quick on what you just said about wholesaling and the deal falling through. Deals don't fall through with wholesaling if you know creative finance. So remember that and take that with you, because you can always save a deal. And trust me, if the seller knows that you're doing everything that you're doing and you've been transparent with the seller, you've been truthful, you've been forthcoming, you're sleeping at night because you've done everything by the book, then they will work with you because they trust you. You've earned trust.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
I do have I have right now on my belt 4 plots, vacant plots that I'm actually I've been holding on to for a while because the owner actually, he got sick or he got COVID, and then he has some storage issues with some stuff that he has there. But I've been actually working with this guy for about 6 months, and I just stay in contact with him because when the time is right, I've built a relationship so that when it's right, I'll be the first person he come to.
Yes.
So that's what I mean. Like, it's work, and it's not always so, like you said, it's active money, but sometimes it takes a while to get that active money and the time that you have to put in for it.
Yes. It can be work. Everything, especially when starting your own business, it's going to be work, especially setting everything up. I want to go back to where I said I work about 10 hours a week. That is 10 hours a week in the real estate business. Some of those weeks, it might be 1. Now, the reason why we're able to do that is because we have systems in place.
I know your wife.
We have assistants, believe it or not, we have assistants that work for us. So all we have to do is look at the deal and go, do we want it? Do we want to even follow through with it? What do we want to do with it? And it has, given us the freedom of creating more time to work on other things, such as, coaching our students. So, which has been nice.
So for you and your husband, you really deal with just real estate. Like, I mean, you do Airbnb real estate, you coach real estate, you teach other people how to do that. So really your line of business is basically based out of, and your foundation is out of real estate, and you don't do anything else outside of that.
No, well, I mean, Justin bakes in his free time for the neighborhood.
She's letting out the secrets, Justin.
Why she bring her out like that, bro? Why she bring her out like that?
Hey, it's all good, man. I'm proud to say I took what I learned in prison and worked for me outside in the free world. So
nothing wrong with that.
Justin is what? I don't even know if he can take it. He's like, oh, I have cream cheese, I have flour, I can make this and flip this in the neighborhood. Like he's about any way of taking it and multiplying that money. So
Hold on, Nona is interior decorator. I don't know if y'all ever seen their houses or anything on Facebook, if anybody follow them, but she's interior decorator. She came and decorated and did our house too. So
Thank
yeah.
you. So yes, and I
She's very good. She's very good at staging houses.
Yeah, you guys feel free to follow us on Facebook or whatever, Instagram. I'm really not on Instagram a whole lot. She is. I'm on Facebook, not a whole lot. She is. But feel free. But if you follow her, you follow me, and vice versa. But real quick, I'll close with this unless there's any more questions. If you want to get a good perception of where you want to go with your business, imagine that you jump in the Back to the Future car. I can't remember the name of the car, but jump in the Back to the Future car and go 3 years into the future. Travel 3 years into the future.
DeLorean. Is it?
Yes. Who said that?
Raquel.
Raquel said it.
I don't even know how you know that.
Yeah,
Raquel.
that
I
was
don't even
the
know how
name
you know
of
that,
it.
Raquel. I don't even know how you know that.
So
I watch a lot of Back to the Future in the 80s.
So you go 3 years or so into the future, and you get out of the car and you see your business. What does it look like in full detail? How many employees are there? What color is it? What is the brand? What is the logo? What is the company culture? What are the values and lines that are drawn in order to hire or fire? Like full detail. And don't say it would be, say it is, because you got to think you're in the future. This is your business. Start there and reverse engineer and then go back and say, okay, this is what I need to start implementing in order to get to that, what that business model looks like. That will open up a lot of perception and perspective into really you knowing. It doesn't matter what nobody else says, cares, or knows. You knowing where you're headed, and it'll give you a lot of aim and focus. Do that little exercise, and I guarantee it will help you if you do it properly.
And I'm going to close with, guys, if this is something that you think it might be what you want to go into, I need you to understand that most people that start a new venture, that start, right, a new life, that go, okay, I can do this, at some point in time, they second guess. At some point in time, whether you do it in the beginning, whether you do it while you're in the middle, even right before you get to that finish line, all right? A lot of times, it is because society has already trained us, brainwashed us to be comfortable with failure, which is incredibly sad, and B, afraid of success. So I need you guys to understand that with anything that you guys are going to do going forward. Always remember that society has brainwashed us because, again, who makes the money if all of us are blue collar workers? The government, right? Who makes the money if we are working businesses that are not real estate? And I'm saying this now on a tax level because we have nice tax write-offs because we roll money from business, like that big check you saw, into another business, but yet we still have money flowing, right? So we have huge tax write-offs, but somebody who owns like a medical office, they do not. So they're getting taxed at the highest rate. So the government is making money from brainwashing us and telling us it's okay to fail. We want you to fail. We want you to stay in the same place you were in yesterday and the same place you were in 5 years ago. And then that causes the fear to succeed.
So do you guys use that 1031 exchange?
Yes, we have, yes. 1031 exchange is very specific. So it has to be the same style house, as far right on down to square footage, bedrooms, baths. But yes.
Awesome. So yeah, I'll probably reach out. So
All right,
just make sure you give us your information.
all right. So
Okay.
we're way over an
In the
hour.
chat.
We're way over an hour. We want to be respectful to everybody that has, respectful of the time. Definitely, if you want to follow up with Nona and Justin, please reach out to them.
It's in chat, guys.
Yes. All right. So before we get going tonight, I don't think next week is going to be a holiday weekend, and then the weekend after that will be a holiday weekend. So we're going to have 2 weeks off. So with that, I just wanted to do our questions tonight a little bit different. Instead of first place winner, we're going to do $10 per question. Coaches, if you want to answer the questions, you're allowed to get the $10 too tonight, coaches. You're not allowed to get the last one though. So so it's going to be up to me. I want you to type your name into the chat. Whoever typed their name into the chat first will be able to answer the question. If you do not get it right, it will go back in. Then the second person can't answer. Then it will go back dead question. All right. All right. So everybody open up the chat. I am watching the chat. All right. 5 factors that make up your credit score. Michelle. You clicked it now. You got to answer.
I know. 5 factors that make up your credit score. It's going to be your oh my God. Shoot.
Brain fart.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna go ahead and pass. I can't.
All right, Raquel.
Oh, brain fart
Okay.
too.
Michelle, don't do that to me.
Raquel.
Utilization, amount of debt. Oh,
Income, expenses, utilization, and all that.
I don't know. I forgot.
You gave up? Renee, you want to try? It's a dead question now, but you can try. You go ahead, Renee.
So you have payment history, utilization, hard inquiries, collections. Oh man, wait a minute. Payment history, utilization, inquiries. Oh, I can't remember the other 2. Oh, length of credit and the credit mix. There you go. Thank you. Length of credit and credit mix.
All right, good try, everybody. So you're gonna have payment history. Payment history, of course, how you make your payments on time. Payment history makes up. I ain't gonna tell you the percentage because I think that's probably one of the questions. Utilization is gonna be the next biggest factor, and then the length of credit, and then mix of credit is basically what type of credits you have. Amortized loans? Do you have revolving accounts? And of course, inquiries. Inquiries we know stay on 2 years. They make a certain percentage. I ain't gonna say that because it may be a question on here. All right, next question. I can't see the thing, so I gotta show the question at the same time tonight, unfortunately. Payment history makes up what percentage of your credit score? That was Rosie.
35.
35%. Good job. All right. Nice. All right. Next question. Utilization makes up what percent of your credit score? That was Rosie again.
All right, 30.
30. Now it's kind of funny. We always tell you, I want to make sure everybody see the correlation here. We always tell you stay under 30% of your utilization. And it's at the same time, utilization makes up 30% of your credit score. All right. 30%. All right. Improving your blank ratio is the fastest way to boost your credit score. I think that was Rochelle. That was Michelle or Rochelle?
Michelle.
Oh, Michelle. I'm sorry.
I thought it was Raquel. Sorry.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's Raquel.
That's why I
Yeah.
said Raquel. That's why I said Raquel. Was it Raquel first?
It's
I got-
Raquel. I thought you said Rochelle.
I thought it was Rochelle. I'm sorry. I thought Rochelle was asking off that last question.
Raquel.
Okay. Raquel, go ahead.
Debt to income?
No. The
Now
next
it's
one,
Michelle.
now it's Michelle.
Yes.
What was the question again? It's gone.
Read the question again.
All right. Improving your ratio, blank ratio makes up the fastest way to boost your credit score. Improving your blank ratio makes up the fastest way.
Improving your,
There you go. Thank you for that, Rosie.
Oh my goodness.
I thought it was what Raquel said already. So no,
Is it the debt to income?
No.
Raquel said that
That was,
already.
that what Brian said back here. No. Justin and Nona, if y'all want to leave, y'all can leave. We do this every week before we end. All right, so it's going to be improving your utilization ratio. So if you lower your utilization ratio is the fastest way to boost your credit score. We all know if your credit score, your utilization is over 50%, you drop that much money as you can on that line of credit. Bye. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Nona. Love y'all.
That was a quick question, Sabor. That word ratio with utilization threw me off.
All right. I told you that's why I let the coaches play tonight too. All right. In the blueprint, after credit repair, what is next? After credit repair, in the blueprint. In the blueprint, after your credit repair, what is next? Michelle.
I'm gonna take a shot. Getting your line of credit.
Okay, what is that called? I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna give you $10 because you. So it's called credit building. You want to start building your credit. After we fix your credit, is it very important that you start building your credit? Because most people come and get their credit repaired, right? But they never actually start building their lines of credit. So after credit repair, the next step is credit building. All right. Next question. Who gave the class last week and what was the topic? Go ahead, Rosie.
It was my daughter-in-law, Michelle.
All right.
It was on Turo.
All right, there you go. Michelle was like, "Oh, who gave class last week?" you see it? She was like, "Hold on, who gave class last week?" All right, it was Michelle, and she gave it on Toro. All right. Next question. Lenders typically want what percentage down on an investment property? Raquel was first.
20%?
No.
Michelle.
25%.
25%, Michelle. 25%. They typically want 25% down on investment property, 20% on a conventional loan, FHA loan, 3%. With PMI. You definitely don't want to do that one. So, all right. On your vision board, we recommend you make a list of how many things. When you write a vision board out, we recommend a list of how many things.
Oh, I know the answer.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
That was Michelle went first, though.
Michelle.
Oh, shoot. I missed it. I'm going to put my name in just in case she missed.
Go ahead, Michelle.
I don't know. I just did it because Renee said, I'm going to say 5.
Go ahead, Renee.
Wait a minute, I said 5. 5 wrong?
300. 300. All right. All right, you must learn to be blank with being blank.
Oh, I know the answer.
That was Rochelle. Go ahead, Rochelle.
Rochelle.
Hey guys. Okay, so you must learn to be disciplined with being I'm just throwing this out, guys. I'm trying you must be disciplined with your credit. Is that wrong?
Just try. It was a good try. I love it. I love the
I
effort.
got it.
Go ahead, Renee.
I said you must learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yes.
Good. Okay.
In order to grow, especially in this program, a lot of stuff that we teach and a lot of these new things that you're going to see is uncomfortable to a lot of people, right? And I was speaking to somebody early this week, I'm sorry, and they just like, well, support, I'm just not comfortable with that. And I'm like, well, in my head, I'm like, well, you just have to learn how to be uncomfortable, I'm comfortable with being uncomfortable, but that's what all you're going to get in order for you to grow. Nobody gets anywhere with being comfortable. Comfortable is what happens to a lot of people, especially W-2 employees. They never go out to search that risk, or they never go out to build something because they're comfortable with that bi-weekly or whatever type paycheck they receive. So you have to learn how to be uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. All right, that was good one, Renee. All right, comfortable with being uncomfortable. Next question. You should only use 30% of your line of credit. Is that for one card or your overall credit? I think that was Michelle.
That was me overall.
Overall. So a lot of times people hear 30% and they think it's just one credit card. It's actually all the cards that you have together, that the total balance that you have, the total available credit that you have, minus that 30% makes up that. So that was Michelle. All right. All right, coaches, y'all out of this one. You can't answer this one. This is different from the coaches. All right. So that was 30%. Next question. $100 to whoever who can quote the declaration in its entirety. This is holiday money. Holiday money. Get this holiday money. Whoever can quote the declaration in its entirety. You do it every week. Nobody.
So the coaches can't participate?
No, because y'all know it by heart. You can't do it.
I'm gonna learn it.
1, 2.
Nobody.
Time up.
Nobody's in the name. Nobody's in there.
All right, so 1, 2, 3. Rosie, you got $30 coming to you.
Michelle has 30, Renee has 10.
Yeah, you already good on Michelle.
I have 10. How 10?
You got one right.
Michelle got two. No,
right.
Renee got 2 right. She got the first back to back.
I got that right. The
okay.
$300.
Sorry about that.
Uncomfortable.
You got 2 right. You got 2 right.
So Michelle got 30 coming to her. Rosie got 30 coming to her, and Renee got 20 coming to her. All right, y'all. I will see y'all in 3 weeks. Everybody have a blessed holiday. Before we end, I don't know who we want to put on the spot. Renee, can you close us out with prayer since we won't see each other for another 3 weeks?
Quiet.
Oh, who closes out in prayer? Who?
You did a good job earlier this week. You can do it again.
Don't forget the new people that's on the site.
Oh, wow. Okay, well.
It's not a normal tradition, but we want to wish everybody happy New Year's and that good stuff. Safe travels and enjoy your time with your family. So
New people that's on the site.
yeah.
Okay. Well, whoever.
Oh, we forgot. Are there any new people on? Actually, there's one that I know of. Is there any other new people that want to say hi?
Hi, I'm new. I'm Rocky. I don't know if y'all can see me. I don't know how to work this Zoom.
Oh, yeah, we see you, man. You good,
See you,
bro.
Rocky.
That's
right.
my cousin.
Oh,
Our cousin, Raquel.
Hi, Rocky.
That's my cousin too.
Oh, okay. Hi, cousins twice.
How y'all doing?
I think my mom is still on.
I'm still a little inspired by the prison story because I've done a lot of that, and I'm trying to start my own restaurant right now. So I'm very interested in this. I've actually read a lot of the stuff that you guys are talking about. So I've been reading because I've been doing some studying and trying to. I'm on the same page. A lot of y'all probably. I'm tired of working for somebody else doing things that I could do for myself. So that's my goal here soon.
Well,
Well, welcome to the call tonight.
Yeah,
Yes,
most
ma'am.
important thing, bro, man, I ain't gonna lie to you, man, is being around like-minded people, man, people that want to see you grow. Unfortunately, you can tell your dreams to somebody that God didn't give them that vision, right? So they can't see it, they'll knock it down, but everybody on here, God gave that vision too, the same as yours. So we all trying to grow, man. So you're definitely in the right space to be around people that are trying to push you forward and see you forward, so.
Definitely.
All right, well, we're gonna close out and thank you for coming. Hope we see you again in 3 weeks, you said, right?
Yes,
All right.
it'll be after the weekend, the first weekend after the New Year's.
Okay.
That's Friday after the New Year's.
Okay. All right, so we're going to just close out tonight. We just want to say, Father God, we just want to thank you for today. We want to thank you for the opportunity to come together one more time. We want to thank you, God, for the people that was on this call tonight. We thank you for touching our minds and having it open. We thank you for our hearts being receptive to this information. We thank you for the guests that were being on the call tonight that was so willing to share information and to educate us as we continue on this call week to week. We're just grateful for the people who just want to be together, got the right mindsets to move forward in life that you have, so we can move forward in the things that you have given us to do in our life. So we just pray blessings over each and every person. We pray that they have a great and safe holiday, that they keep themselves and their families and their children, that we just keep them covered, that no weapon formed against them shall prosper, that we will be able to do all things in your name. So we're just grateful and we're thankful. We thank you for the love and for the family that this is growing into. And we pray for the growth of more people, for more minds to come out so we can open up more minds and help people make greater movements in their life. So we give you the name, the glory, and the praise. And we just thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays,
Happy
everyone.
holidays, everyone.
Holidays.
Love you, Rocky.
So Rosie and Sabor, but stay on just for a minute.
All right.
Love you, Rocky.
Happy